They're trying to stop the simple act of planting trees to bring the land back to life.
We've got this massive takeover of Arab squatters all over the desert.
That's 7 new illegal Palestinian structures built every day on average between 2019 and 2021.
This is the Israel Guys.
Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of fake news, you should connect to the true and authentic stories of Israel. Coming to you guys from the biblical heartland of Israel, falsely known sometimes as the West Bank. Today we're going to be talking about some of the struggles within Israel. And we're talking about big struggles. The Arabs do not want J&F, which is the Jewish National Fund, which has planted thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of trees over the last 100 years here in Israel. They do not want them planting trees in the Negev. How does that make sense? You tell me. We're going to break it all down for you guys today. Make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell if you're watching here on YouTube. If you watch on Rumble, you can, or if you're not watching, you want to go check it out, go subscribe over there. We're also putting everything over there. Everything at the website at theisraelguys.com, where you can also subscribe for free and download our social media app. Just search the Israel Guys in your favorite app store.
Luke, it all boils down to trees in the Negev, you could say, but this is the ridiculousness of the situation on the ground here right now. You think 1948, the Jewish state was created. They had issues then, of trying to get a nation off the ground, and the miraculous events that took place in the Jewish nation being established and settled, and all the players that came in, and the nations that helped, and then those that didn't, and the wars, and all the craziness. That is still happening today, meaning the craziness. There was a bill. So right now, the Israeli government that's in place right now is really a wild card government. We're talking about just a handful of pro-Israel people in the government.
Right. Well, you have 3 different things. You have very left-wing parties that are in the coalition, very right-wing parties that are in the coalition, and then you have an Arab party, like an Islamist Arab party that's in the government. So this coalition government is just being pulled back and forth every single day. And right now, it really seems like the left wing and Arab parties are kind of winning in regards to policy.
Well, they're winning. They've got the best ace card. They can move anything they want in that Knesset. They can make it. They can pull their way through and make whatever. So this is what happens. Just now, we've got the electricity bill that's taking the front stage of all bills. You see the ruckus in the Knesset in a minute when this law passed, but literally this electricity bill legalizes tens of thousands of illegal Arab homes. That's Palestinian Arab as well as Bedouin Arabs in the South. So
mostly Bedouin.
Bedouin Arab in the South, like thousands and thousands. So these are illegal structures that were just set up. So this is squatters.
And can I explain a little bit too? And we're talking about Arabs, which Bedouins are Arabs. Not all Arabs are Bedouins, but basically, a lot of these Bedouins, the background is that they're nomads and they've lived in the wandering in the desert for I don't know how many centuries, right? And so, but since Israel was established, they've been trying to incorporate them into Israel, into Israeli society and culture, and put them, establish neighborhoods and homes and cities for them. But they've resisted that because of their background and culture and being nomads and just living in tents and maybe little tin structures and herding their sheep. And so instead, they just build thousands and tens of thousands of illegal, very, very terrible structures. And now they're trying to get passed in the Knesset. Well, they did pass a law to legalize a lot of these structures and connect them to electricity and water and infrastructure.
Luke, I'd say that not only did they not just come into Israel and accept Israel's ways and Israel's sovereignty, they've actually joined the opposition, meaning the Arab-Palestinian plight. Most of them, maybe if they weren't Islamic before, they have now converted to Islam, and they're on the track of anti-Israel as you can possibly get.
Because
so
they're all Arabs.
They're identical.
A lot of them are Bedouins, but also now a lot of them are marrying Palestinians. They're actually bringing women from Palestinian areas. And then another big problem is polygamy, because they have these amazing child tax benefits. So basically, the more children they have, the more money they can get off the Israeli government. So there's a lot of illegal marriages, people with 15, 20 children that are just reaping the money from the Israeli government.
Completely lawless.
No, it's a terrible situation.
Area, which this law being passed is like a law that favors the lawless. So because there was hundreds of thousands of lawless people down in Israel's deserts and in Israel's heartland here where we have the Palestinian Arab situation, now this law is going to legalize all of the illegal actions of squatters over the last years and years and years, like a long time.
So
tens
basically,
of thousands of Arab homes.
Basically, instead of dealing with the situation, they're just saying, okay, whatever you want, here you go. We'll hook you up to electricity and water and give you free money and just let you
gas
live
lines,
in
everything
these horrible conditions and illegal structures. What was the number? 130,000 illegal structures?
Yeah.
Or people? That's just horrendous.
So, Luke, there was a law. They tried to make an amendment to the law. And so, because if they're going to do this crazy act to allow all these squatters legalize, and then we're not talking about Israeli. We're not talking about, when Israelis go out and try to settle a new piece of land, like it happens a lot in Judea and Samaria. We're talking about anti-Israel, as we've spoken. They're going and squatting on this area. Now, Israel's going to legalize them. So it was an effort put forth by the Knesset, by the right-wing Knesset members, saying, wait, if you're going to legalize these anti-Israel Islamist lands and their homes, well, why don't you consider legalizing some of the homes in Judea and Samaria by valiant Jewish pioneers that are trying to settle the land of Israel? Well, that amendment was crushed and said no way. So let's. I want to give everybody just a little feeling of the tenseness of the electricity bill when it was being passed in the Knesset. Here it is.
Okay, so we could actually go on for like a full minute and a half, this video. This is actually Israel's parliament, just a full-out shouting match going on, and it didn't stop for a very long time. Difference in culture, but also just the internal issues that Israel is facing with this incredibly diverse is not a good word to describe it. This government that is just anti-Israel. Yeah. And there's only like a small part of it that's actually pro-Israel in the government. MK David Amsalem, who's a right-wing MK in the government, he said, quote, look what we've gotten to. Two Arabs, Taha and the speaker of the session, Mansour Abbas, who's the leader of the Arab Party, speaking to each other in Arabic. In the Knesset, they're actually talking in Arabic to each other. Now, nothing wrong with talking in Arabic if that's your origin in general, but it's like to compare it to two congressmen in the House of Representatives on the floor, publicly speaking in a different language other than English. Okay.
Problem.
Yeah, like not the language of the United States of America. That's what's happening. You're stealing a quarter of the country with this law. You will speak Hebrew here in the Israeli parliament. All that's and another MK actually said all that's missing is for the Israeli flag to be replaced by a Palestinian flag.
Literally, I want everybody to understand the severity of this law. Like he said, we're losing what he said, a quarter of the country. Like this law is giving away huge swaths of land. I mean, Israel already gave away the Sinai. They've given away massive amounts of the desert already, and now we've got this massive takeover of Arab squatters, Bedouin mostly, all over the desert. It's a lawless situation, and they're going and squatting. And now the Israeli government is going to back them. Like, it's the most insane situation you've ever heard in your life. And that's why these right-wing MKs are saying, what is happening in our country? We're literally losing our country, and there's not even a war being fought. Like, we're just handing our country away to our sworn enemies.
That's it actually gets worse because these same Bedouin areas in the Negev, JNF, Jewish National Fund, has been planting trees for 100 years here in Israel. Yeah, they go to plant trees on state-owned land in the Negev, right? And we can actually play a video because it's ridiculous. You can see what's happening here. They go to plant trees, and rioting breaks out. Well, they actually have to bring in like the border police, like the full-on police in riot gear, in a field where they're just planting trees. Yeah. Like, planting along in coordination, their project in coordination with the government, trying to settle the Negev, trying to bring the Negev back to life, trying to plant trees, and the people living in the area, the Bedouin Arabs living there, full out riot because they don't want it to happen. But it gets even worse than that, because you have leaders, members of Knesset, coming against planting trees. And you can see, like, in the background when we talk about this, that just the crazy situation that's happening here. And the bulldozers that you see are JNF clearing the land, and then just a huge empty field to be able to plant trees.
Luke, I've done a lot of tree planting as the director of operations for our work here. Mm-hmm. We plant thousands of trees, and I just wish we had this kind of backup team. I mean, really,
that'd be nice.
To go plant trees. This is insane. To go plant trees, and you've got the Israeli border police having to go to like the nines to protect you.
The mounted police, you got
Luke,
the full
and again,
riot
look at this.
gear.
These guys are rioting. Look at all those people just running out of that town. Those are all Bedouin rioters that are rioting, in response to the
planting
electricity law, though. This is in response. This is an Arab mindset. It's totally different. The more you give, the more you take.
Right.
That's and Western people do not understand. You give them their city. Say you took it, but you stole it. But okay, I'm just going to go ahead and give that to you. Guess what? They're going to take the next thing. And that's we talked last week about a Haaretz reporter, Luke. This riot right here. You see these guys just going nuts on the scene here. A Haaretz reporter, leftist is all get out, goes down to cover this story. They don't make a difference between leftist Jews and not leftist Jews. If you're a Jew, you're an enemy.
They didn't like this. They didn't like a reporter at all.
No, the leftist reporter goes down, and what do they attack him.
Beat him up.
They beat him up.
His car.
They burn his car down. He barely gets out of there. The police rescue him. But that's literally the situation on the ground there with these riots. And this is in response not only to the electricity law, but the specific situation being that JNF is planting trees in the desert. I mean,
what's the demand?
There's Bible verses, Luke, that say that the desert's going to blossom and bloom. Like,
so the demand is that they stop planting trees, but it goes even further because Mansour Abbas, leader of the Islamist party in the coalition, he says, quote, "I can't continue to live with this. I can't continue like this. I've absorbed more difficult things in the past, but when they shoot straight in my chest, I can't stand it anymore." The South is Ra'am. Ra'am is the name of his party. To understand, Mansour Abbas, a member of Knesset in the coalition government of Israel, is saying that he cannot continue to live with JNF planting trees in the Negev because the Negev belongs to him and his party. He's part of the Southern Islamist party and then belongs to the Islamists. That's what he's saying. Is Israel, and I want to emphasize too, this is the Negev. The Negev is Israel's desert. Okay, Negev is their desert. This is not a hot spot like Ramallah or Nablus or Hebron, right? Or the Temple Mount. This is the Negev. It's like the Golan, like we're talking about the Golan Heights here.
Right.
You're talking about a major percentage of Israel's real estate, massive territory that they're actually trying to stop settlement, and they're trying to stop the simple act of planting trees to bring the land back to life. Even Yair Lapid, who is the foreign minister and who's slated to become Israel's prime minister pretty soon, also called to stop planting trees until they could, figure things out. That's what he wanted to do. And then the deputy economy minister Yair Golan from the Meretz Liberal Party, he also called to stop the tree planting. He said, quote, "I then spoke with my friends, Minister Nitzan Horowitz, Minister Meir Cohen, Deputy Minister Yoav Saglovitz, and Ram Chairman Mansour Abbas. I call for the release of the detainees, the Bedouins that rioted and were arrested. Calls for their release, and for the planting to stop, and for all parties to sit at the negotiating table and calm the storm for the future of the Negev."
So this is the answer for the future of the Negev, is to just release all the criminals, stop the tree planting at all costs. Stop it. Don't plant any more trees.
It's such a horrible, destructive
thing
that
of the
is
right.
just ruining the lives of the 130,000 Bedouin Arabs that live
that are squatting and illegal and all that. Look, but the situation is you've got these government members that are siding. Okay, so we said Ra'am said himself, right? The Ra'am party states that the South is his, and then we have top-level officials in the Israeli government saying, what is up with that? I can't even get my mind about it. The miracle of the foundation of Israel is like falling apart. Like they're losing literal land that was bought with the blood of Jewish soldiers in these incredible wars, miraculous wars that took place against all odds. And now it's like, what is happening in these areas? We see it here in Judea and Samaria. We're going to talk about Homesh a little bit. We see it down in the south, like these lands that are falling out and Israel is losing control of due to this leftist ideology, and more than ideology, people that are literally bowing to these anti-Israel leaders that are actually sitting in Israel's Knesset. It just is mind-boggling.
Thankfully, we do have, I want to emphasize too, we have a couple of voices of reason. A member of Knesset, Amir Ohana,
it's not
from
all
the
lost.
Likud party, he said, quote, "Deepening our roots in the land of Israel in general, and in the Negev in particular, is our message. And this clearly opposes what the Islamic movement stands for, as it seeks to deprive the Jewish people of their lands by severing the connection between the people of Israel and the land of Israel. Because there is you can't remove the two from each other, the people and the land," right? MK Catherine Shittreet added, quote, "Giving in to demands just whets their appetite for more." Exactly what you said a minute ago. Exactly. Following the electricity law, Ra'am is now just demanding that the JNF's planting on state lands be halted. This is what extortion by threats looks like. And she's 100% right, because Mansour Abbas is now, he's not just threatening. He's actually said he's not voting with the coalition anymore for the foreseeable future until he decides that he's satisfied, and basically until Israel gives in and stops the JNF from planting trees in the south.
So you give Mansour Abbas the biggest gift ever. Legalize all of your squatters, all of your anti-Israel haters, and people that want to steal the land of Israel from the people of Israel. We're going to legalize that move, and then Abbas, this is what I was saying earlier, Abbas is going to turn around and say, "Hey, but you're planting trees there now." This is literally how it goes. He's going to take the smallest little thing that's happening,
give him an inch, and they're taking a mile.
And literally, that's going to happen. Luke, the only hope that I see in this situation is Ayelet Shaked, the Ministry of Interior, has somehow connected to this thing where she could stop it if she wants to, which Lord willing, she would do this. She's got 2 months to stop
to approve or stop the connection
Stop it.
of illegal homes.
Shaked,
Emphasis on illegal, folks. Emphasis on illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Luke, I want to talk about, because we're talking about illegal. So literally what we have here, we have we're legalizing Arab squatters. And at the same time, this is all going on, what we've just described, we have the opposite happening. You talk about countries work well when you have laws. And laws are not based on who you are or anything about it. It's just a law, and it goes for everybody. Everybody's treated the same under the law, right? Okay, so we have that. And then we have this situation here where Jewish settlements are being demolished quite regularly now. Right. Just in the last few days, we've had serious demolitions happening. And these demolitions are not happening in what you would call the Arab areas. These demolitions are happening in Jewish state lands. Once again, down in the south, that's Jewish state lands where Arabs have taken Jewish state lands. The areas where Jews are then going and settling on Jewish state land themselves. Okay, so that's a much better situation. You got Jews living on Jewish land. You think that'd be better, right? Than Arabs taking Jewish land? Okay, so there's a big problem. Guess what? The law is favoring the Arabs of taking Jewish land and attacking and obstructing and destroying Jews that are settling on Jewish land. This is literally what is happening right now.
You guys have definitely heard about Homesh in the news, because Yehuda Dimentman was murdered there a couple of weeks ago at the yeshiva that's been there. So in 2005, Israel withdrew from Gaza, but they also withdrew from 4 Jewish communities that are in northern Samaria. And Homesh was one of those communities. But after it was destroyed, a little while later, the government allowed the people to establish a yeshiva there. Yeah. A yeshiva is just basically a Jewish learning center, right? So they established a yeshiva there, and people would come to study probably like every day. Yeah. But basically just like in memory, and also just to have like some kind of little bit of hold on the land. Yeah. Well, after Yehuda Dimentman was murdered, after returning from studying at this yeshiva, they're now actually coming against the site to try and demolish the yeshiva completely. Right. They've already showed up several times, disconnected the electricity used
Which
there,
I find fascinating, Luke, because they disconnect electricity at the same time they're connecting the electricity to the illegal Arab outpost all over the south. It's just
right. And this yeshiva is basically in coordination and agreement with the government. Yeah, was been there for more than 15 years now.
Luke, what this tells me is that if you kill a Jew, that's the only way to really make it happen. That's the false narrative of the terrorists that killed Jews. This is why they do it, because they feel like if they kill a Jew, then there can be some sort of process. They're going to get better. Okay, so that's exactly, they're playing the tune to the leftist government. You kill Jews, we'll back away. That's exactly what they want.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
And so the real danger and the threat is that Homesh is going to be completely destroyed and blocked off from anyone being able to even go there and study and pray anymore. There's also basically orders that are like pre-demolitions on at least 6 other Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. And also good friends of ours, Jeremy Gimpel and Arya Bramowitz of the Land of Israel Network, their vineyard was slated to be destroyed yesterday. We're recording this on January 12th. Yeah. Yesterday, it was supposed to be destroyed. It was actually happening. They got notified, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They got notified like 4 days in advance that this was going to happen. Their vineyard is supposed to be destroyed. Thanks to a lot of you guys, a lot of people that watch them, grassroots efforts. There was such an uprising and a storm about this that they actually postponed it, which is not good news.
No, it's not good news at all.
But the hope and the prayer is that it will be, permanently
Luke,
reversed.
let me tell everybody really quickly what happens with this. It just means next time they got to do it faster. This is what it means.
Right.
Next time we're not going to have any warning about it. They try, and then if there's such a big uprise, they have to secretly do it quickly to enhance it. God forbid it happens, but I'm telling you, that's how it works. So we got to really pray.
Also, Joshua's altar on the Mount Ebal is damaged again. It's been happening multiple times every year that the Arabs just go by, and they just wreak havoc as much as possible, which is a major archaeological site. We actually have some stuff we can't talk about that was discovered there very recently, and we were involved in it, and it's just like, but it's a huge archaeological site because it's a thousands of years old altar and site that the Israelites came to, in Joshua's time. Then in the numbers, real quick, we got to finish up. From Regavim, our friends at Regavim, a NGO watch organization here in Judea and Samaria, as of 2021, there were 72,274 illegal Arab structures throughout Judea and Samaria. More than 70,000. Plus,
that's not counting south.
130,000 in the Bedouin Arabs in the Negev. That's 7 new illegal Palestinian structures built every day on average between 2019 and 2021. Josh, I think the conclusion is that the confusion that's reigning in Israel's government and the pull between the left and the right and the Islamic Arab Party that's sitting in the coalition is emboldening Israel's haters.
Luke, and not only that, but
terrorists.
You've got
you have archaeological damage happening. You have Jewish sites being destroyed and uprooted. You have illegal squatters to the tune of 130,000 being legalized and connected to electricity. And you have the stopping of planting trees, not even in Judea and Samaria, in the Negev, in Israel's desert region.
Luke, you named a couple perpetrators, but I think you also have to name the international community.
Right.
That is
because not only it's
laughing,
it
they're
is
just
the struggle,
clapping to the tune.
It's the struggle from within, but it's also the struggle from without, because unfortunately the international community has a massive influence on how Israel's governs themselves. And right now you have a very not pro-Israel government in the United States, which is Israel's biggest ally. And so you have all this pressure. The coalition government has lasted a lot longer than when people thought it would. The question is, how much longer can it last?
Luke, can I tell everybody something real quick? There's one way to be conservative and make an impact with Israel, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. The way to do it is, I tell you, I go out and I'm on the right-wing conservative stand with Israel, and I hope that you're with me. If you're with me, I want you to go subscribe right now, literally. Jewish people from all over the place. You know what? They really get encouraged when they see how many subscribers or how many people are listening to what we're talking about. And when they see that, they're encouraged. They're like, yes, that's the kind of international pressure that Israel needs. And let me just say, you could do a little part right now. Subscribe to the channel, pass this news around. Nobody else is saying what we're saying. You're not going to hear it anywhere else. And we've got to spread this news so that people that want to stand with Israel, people that are pro-Israel, can literally know what's actually happening and be involved in some way. Encourage Jewish pioneers that are settling the land of Israel. This and it's not all lost.
No,
there's a huge and I don't want to leave everybody. No, we've said a lot of negative things today because there's a lot of negative things going on, but there's a huge just upswelling now of conservative values, of godliness, of people on the right that are making a difference, and it will come back. And these ridiculous anti-Israel laws will be reversed. It's just a matter of time.
Guys, let us know. Get the conversation going down below. Let us know what you think in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the heartland of Israel. We'll be back next week here at the Israel Guys.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you like that content. We can get it to you every week right there at your fingertips. If you really liked it and have questions, anything, we love comments. Go ahead and leave us a comment as well. If you'd like to even go further, your support would be greatly appreciated. We've got lots of content, lots of ideas that we want to keep pushing out there. If you want to support, you can go to our Patreon page or check us out at theisraelguys.com.